Now our GMA cover story, a health alert on those popular GLP-1 medications for weight loss. New research out this morning suggests stopping the medications too soon could make it harder to lose weight. Our chief medical correspondent, Dr. Narula, is here with more. It seems like common sense that this would happen, but just enlighten us with these findings.
Exactly. Well, we're so used to looking at drugs in clinical trials and seeing what happens and how beneficial they are. But what happens in the real world? And that's exactly what researchers wanted to know. So they looked at severely obese individuals, about 8,000 of them, who took Wegovy and Zepbound over the course of a year. And they, in fact, found that there were smaller amounts of weight loss than they had seen in trials. There were smaller benefits in terms of sugar reduction. But when they looked at the why, it was because a lot of people were discontinuing the medications before a year and also taking lower maintenance doses. In fact, over 80% were on lower levels of these drugs. When they looked at those who discontinued, about 50% stopped the drug before a year. So if they stopped it early, they had about a 4% weight loss. If they stopped it later in the year, about 7%. And if they took it for a whole year, they did in fact have a 12% weight loss. And Robin, when they tried to figure out what are the factors that really are associated with more weight loss by the end of the year, it was being a woman, it was taking Zepbound instead of Wegovy, it was, no surprise, continuing the drug for longer, and taking those higher maintenance doses.
But let's talk about the why. Why folks are coming off of it sooner?
Well, researchers say they don't know in this study the why, but they can theorize the why, and that would be cost. We know that these drugs have been very costly, and only recently have we started to see that come down. There have been insurance coverage issues for a lot of people, supply issues for the last several years that have now gotten better. And then some people do develop side effects, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation.
So what are the findings about those who are pre-diabetic?
Yeah, well, this is really important. So they looked at a panel of patients that were pre-diabetic, and at the end of the year, those that continued the drug for the full year, they normalized their blood sugar. 70% of those people did. If they stopped it early, it was more like 30 or 40%. So real improvements in blood sugar if you stay on the drug for at least a year. And one other interesting finding that obviously a lot of people want to know, I hear a lot in my office, is do I have to stay on this drug forever? Am I going to regain the weight? And in clinical trials, we have seen that if you come off, you tend to regain the weight. In this real world study, whatever weight people lost, they tended to stay at that weight and maintain it, which is good news for a lot of people. The question about why that might be, they're looking into that again. Is it because they changed their lifestyle in addition to taking the drug? Did they do bariatric surgery? Did they take some other medication? Or, is there some sort of change in the body that's happening with these drugs that's allowing you to then stay off the drug and maintain the weight loss?
Do you have other questions from your patients about this? Do they have other questions that they ask you about?
Yesterday, I was actually talking about this. I saw probably 17 patients. 70% of those we had conversations about GLP. And the last patient of the day I saw, she lost 80 pounds in 9 months. Robin, there's so few things in medicine where we really can see the change, and people, it just absolutely changes their life. And for so many patients, they look at me and they say, just thank you for talking about this with me, because it's literally changed how I feel physically, how I look, how I feel psychologically.
And it is good to talk to their doctor about it.
Bring it up, have the conversation.
All right. I'm glad we had this conversation.